If people get mad that they missed it, then we'll do another one.
There you go. All right, and we're live. I am rejoined by Nikki Sims, the VP of Internal Relations and coach at Barbell Logic. And Nikki, we are doing part 2 here, where I got a lot of feedback where I was just blabbing away and I didn't let you talk that much. So,
Alex, maybe you're more interesting than I am. It's okay.
No. No, we were talking a little bit before we went on air about how just with the old setup I was using, there's some technical difficulties that was causing a little bit of a delay. So I couldn't tell if I felt like I had to carry the conversation more and whatnot. And then when I went back and looked at it, I was like, I talked way too much at that conversation. So, and I didn't get to half the questions I wanted to get to. So,
okay. I was actually laughing because I think with the sound lag, I was just laughing by myself a lot of the time, and I was just like, oh my god. I sound like this cackling lunatic, which I probably am, but it was just like so funny. And I laughed about it again.
Right. Oh, there you go. Okay, so I wanted to jump right into the questions. I got a bunch of good questions, and I want to start out with a couple fun ones. So one of them was, what is the favorite thing about having a garage gym? What's your favorite thing about having a garage gym?
Just to pick one.
Yeah. Well, you have to pick one. A couple things.
So many. I like listening to my own music because I think I'll listen to a lot of music that a lot of people really, really want to care to listen to, but I can have it on right then and it can be loud. And I can listen to the same song over and over and over and over again. And that it's always open. And I can wear whatever outfits that I want that I probably wouldn't be comfortable wearing in public, but somehow it's okay in the privacy of my garage to put on Instagram.
I know, right? Isn't that funny? Well, that gets to the another question I have, but that'll come after. What's the one thing you don't like about having a garage gym, like training by yourself? Is there something like you miss about having in a public setting, or just like in a group setting? Like in a gym itself.
Yeah. That feeling that you get when you're in a group. It's just like, I don't know if it's like performance or if it's like the team camaraderie or like the noise of it. I miss that. But whenever I miss it, I just go to a gym.
Yeah.
Like I can go to 24-hour fitness by me. That's like crappy to go to, but it still kind of fills that need of being in public. And then there's a good powerlifting gym called SoCal Powerlifting that I'll just drop into.
Oh, very cool.
Well, I think that's the only thing I miss, but not right now.
Not right. I was just gonna say now, yeah. And then the other question I got this a couple times actually, which was talking about what you just said, is out of all the fun and outlandish and goofy outfits you have, what's your favorite pair of workout pants? Because you got some interesting ones.
I know, I love them. I'm kind of obsessed with the new pair that I just bought.
Yeah.
I only wore them for the first time last Saturday when I was going for heavy deadlift. They're like leopard print, red, kind of see-through. I just love them. And then I really like my jungle pants.
There you go.
They're like white and they have the jungle on them. And I really like my fishnet pants. It's just like, I'm allowed to work out in these. Like, they're workout pants. I got them from a workout clothes store, but they're definitely fishnet pants.
Yeah, I think it's funny when you get to work out in your own setup, and then you'll do things, or you'll have like certain things whether it's you're wearing or how you do your gym, or like you said, the music you'll play and whatnot, and it's your own thing what you want to do, but then you'll post something on social media, right? But you would probably think twice about it for some reason. I don't know why, right? But sometimes you would think twice about it, like just actually doing that, like out in public or out in like a public setting.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to wear those fishnet pants. I don't think I could wear them out in public. People be like, "Did she just get off the pole? Like, what's she doing?" Like, but I just friggin' love them.
Yeah, so they watch you deadlift 400 pounds. Like, okay, I'm gonna shut up now. Yeah.
I will wear my hoe pants. Okay.
There you go. That would get into my next one, which is a little bit more, thought-provoking one. Have you run into any issues, being a woman strength coach and trainee, whether it's with...
Oops. Oh, no. He just froze. Alex. I guess it's just me. Maybe I'll give you a tour of my artwork.
We are cursed. I've recorded 10 episodes with this platform, not one problem. Right? I'm talking to Niki, the thing just craps out.
I have that effect.
No. Okay. Serious question. Yeah. Okay. So what I was asking was, have you run into any issues being a woman in your field in regards to like being a strength coach and either coaching clients, whether it's being a female coach coaching men, or just with like your peers in general, or is that kind of like it's like gone by the wayside now? It's not even an issue.
I don't feel it as an issue. And I don't think there are very many occurrences in the past where I was just like, man, I'm being discriminated against for being a female coach. I have worried that maybe I was put in positions like because they just need a female.
Right. Yeah.
I really that's one thing that I get worried about is like, I want to be where I am because of my intelligence and my capabilities, not just because I'm a female.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's happened. I might just be aloof to whatever. But I also appreciate like when someone wants to work with a coach, like they might do better with a female coach or they might do better with a male coach. And
Right.
I also respect that. So sometimes we have requests, like when someone comes, like when someone signs up at Barbell Logic, someone might request a female coach or they might request a male coach, and like I feel like that's okay.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have. I think I used to get more of that back in the day when I was in construction, but also that might have been because I was still just brand new. Yeah. I think as long as I go out there and just make sure that I'm delivering a quality product and make sure the coaching experience is about what they're receiving and not what I look like, then that's what is going to matter,
Right. Yeah, no, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Well, and it probably helps too. And I don't think there's anything to do with being a man or a woman, but just like in anything you do when you're professing to be an expert in a subject, whether it's if you're a mechanic, if you're a doctor, if you're a plumber, whatever it is you're doing, that you actually know what you're doing in that field. And being a strength coach, knowing what you're doing, but also being able to actually do it and showing that you do it on a consistent basis and you're good at what you do. So yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah. Respecting your field and then being confident in what you do know and then being confident in what you don't know.
Right. There's always that underlying thing in the personal training field of like the overweight and out of shape personal trainers. So like, well, if you don't have respect for yourself or discipline for yourself, how are you going to instill that with other people or kind of glean that yourself? So yeah. Okay, cool. Adam Fangman. I don't know if this is an inside joke or not. Traps, lats, or other. So,
I don't really know what he's asking about.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with traps.
Traps. Yeah. Traps rule everything, right?
Or I guess or other. I mean, if
other.
Maybe forearms.
Well, what's other? What's other? Right.
I don't know.
I mean, it depends.
Is it like a favorite body part? It's a favorite body part, like forearms, for sure.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't know if it was an inside joke or not. I was like, oh, I'll throw it out there, see what he says.
Fangman.
I know, right? Okay, so the other one I had was last time on the podcast, we touched on this a little bit, but this was from my end of it, right? I wanted you to expand a little bit more on the subject of working with coaches so they have a better understanding and training and just a kind of whole concept of like a wherewithal with working with clients and the client's personal life. Remember how we talked about you're not just a trainer, you're not just a coach, right? You're a unofficial like therapist, right? But you're not really kind of qualified to do that, right? And you were talking about how you guys are starting to do more of that and working with your coaches on that. Can you kind of expand on kind of what you guys are doing and how that kind of looks?
It's more about like being more than the person on the other side, or the bot or whatever on the person on the other side of True Coach that's just inputting programming and reviewing videos and spitting back cues. Like, we're trying to pick up on the other things that bring the people that we're actually working with value in their training, and then trying to pick up like things that aren't really obvious. Like a client could say, I'm really annoyed with my deadlift right now. I'm pissed about my deadlift. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? That's obvious. It's right up front. Yeah, you might have missed picking up on that sooner, but it's like, okay, it's really clear in front of you. Or something will happen where you don't know that they're hating their deadlift, they're getting pissed off, and all of a sudden you just get a cancellation email. So then something happened that made them not appreciate their relationship with you anymore and not get any value out of it. So how can we get to that point sooner with our clients where we are more aware of the struggles that they're going through, that they're not making obvious to us? Because like, those kind of uncomfortable conversations are difficult and not everybody is good at that. They don't know that they're unhappy until it's too late. But we might know more about that than they do, right? So if we can pick up on like, they've missed a deadlift in the last 2 workouts. Oh, they're skipping their deadlift. Oh, I'm not getting any feedback. Like, what do those things mean? What do those things mean? Kind of digging into what is happening beyond just the reporting of the workout. You know, what are they telling us about their life? Are they enjoying training? Are they having fun with it? Are they seeing any benefit? Like, digging into those questions of why they're still working with you. And like you talked about that earlier, and the last time we spoke, is like, why are you still here? Why are we still together?
Right.
Because, you know, you probably spend a whole lot of time when you're not training thinking about training. And so we have that interaction with them during their training review or when they're there at on your platform. And then they'll leave the gym and they have, 47 more hours to continue to trust you, or they have 47 hours to like pick apart something that isn't working and blame it on you.
Right. Well, that's a really good point, because like when I would get a new client or do like a consult, somebody would ask me, hey, so is this program going to work? And I go, well, what do you mean? Like, so if I do what you say I'm going to do, and if I do this program, then I'll lose this much weight, or I'll do this. And I said, okay, well, let me explain this to you. I said, what you do, and these are for like clients that were coming to the gym. I said, the 3 hours a week I see you, like the hour on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that I see you, I said, that's going to be the easy part because you just show up and do what I tell you to do. I said, you have 23 hours in the rest of your day to screw up like what we did. Right. So like what you do outside of here that has nothing to do with me, like in regards to like compliance and your habits and routine and everything else too. And that's also like, and I came to that realization after figuring out that concept of having an understanding of the person's life outside of just like when they see you. Right. Which is what you were just talking about, like getting an understanding of like the whole concept of like the individual outside the box of what's going on. So I learned to start kind of putting that out there from the get-go, so, so what are you doing outside the gym, or what are you doing outside your workouts or in your life to kind of, make this part of your life versus just this one thing where you see me 3 hours or you do 3 hours a week and then everything else you do doesn't matter. Like it's all intertwined.
Yeah. And they're doing it, even if they do just show up and work out for, 3 hours, they're doing it for a reason. Like I go to jujitsu 2 times a week, and I only go 2 times a week. And I honestly don't think about it much more than that because like everything else takes up enough time. So I'm one of those people. And like, I feel like that helps me really connect with people who just want to kind of punch the clock sometimes with training.
Yeah.
With jujitsu, it matters a lot to me, and I freaking care about it, and I love it when I'm there. But I don't think about it as much as I think about lifting.
Right.
And that's okay. But if someone made me feel bad about that, I wouldn't enjoy it. You have to have the right kind of expectations for the reason that people are doing things, and understand why they're doing them, and help them understand why they're doing it. They might not know. And it might be some reason that isn't coming from the inside and it's coming from the outside. So make sure that they're true to themselves about why they're doing to this, and then really pull that, and help them continue to do it for those reasons. You don't want to, it's hard to work with someone who thinks that they should be doing something. They're never going to go very far. It's got to be because they want to be doing it.
Yeah, like you have to get some semblance of buy-in into the program of what they're wanting to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you're saying, it doesn't have to be all in all the time, but having some level of importance, like when you are there and you do care about it. That's interesting. That's a good way of looking at it, especially with the jiu-jitsu aspect of it. What would you say is like one of the hardest things? This is another good question about the difficulties of running an online business, especially in your position where you're not just coaching and running clients, but you're also like now in a level of like a corporate position, with Barbell Logic, where you're running an online business, you're helping run an online business. You have a role in running a business beyond just, training clients remotely, where your, quote unquote workforce coaches, employees, are not in one location. Everybody's kind of spread out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the majority, if not all your communication, especially right now, is all online, whether it's Zoom calls or Slack channel or, anything of that nature. So what's some of the hardest things there?
The hardest thing is ever feeling like I know enough about what other people are feeling.
That's a good one.
I never really get to, like, if we were in the same room together, there would be eye contact. I'd be able to we'd be able to feel each other's tension or lack thereof, or being relaxed. You'd have the space to ask questions for me to react. And that cannot happen online, Right. And I think that's what I was talking to someone yesterday, she's a psychiatrist and now she's just doing stuff over the phone. And she's exhausted. She said over the phone stuff is exhausting. And we know that we'll do Zoom calls all day because you just can't get that same in-person goodness. It's different being in the same room as someone.
Right.
It allows you to feel more comfortable, to engage, and you just get to a deeper level. And so that's the most difficult part of my job, is how can I connect through a barrier?
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes there's benefits having conversations or putting things out there through a group chat, like Slack or something like that, versus doing a Zoom call or something like this, where obviously me and you are in two different locations, but being face to face and having the audio, it allows for a smoother back and forth, as far as almost, it's not the same as actually obviously being in the same room, and every now and then you do have that little bit of a lag, but you do have a lot more than just a phone call or a text message. Because I feel, so I think there's benefits to both sometimes. You just got to figure out which one is going to be the best medium for the message you're trying to get across.
Definitely, and there sometimes, messaging back and forth would take an hour to get to the same point that you could get to in 10 minutes on a call. And I think another big thing that people learn is that you can do quick phone calls. we can do 10-minute Zoom calls. It's okay. And I think sometimes there's this feeling around a phone call where it's just oh, it's gonna be a phone call. Gotta block out all this time. Just no, let's just take care of it really quick and then we can hang up and then it'll be good.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a big scary thing.
No, it's true. I know that sometimes, shoot, I mean, even with Anna Marie, me and her could be, obviously in the same house, but there's something where she'll want to tell me in regards to, whether it has something to do with the kids or something we were talking about a couple of days ago, maybe a disagreement that we had, and then she'll send me a text, right? That way there's no chance to kind of jump in or be defensive, and I think that works in multiple relationships, whether it's work relationships or, you send that message and say, hey, if there's no context or emotion behind it, it's just just read what I wrote. Right.
Yeah.
And then you're able to get that message across clearly. And I think sometimes that works better than the face to face, and then you can have a face to face after. Right.
Well, the interesting thing about communicating face to face is it takes a lot of restraint and
Hmm.
patience and awareness to think about what you're going to say before you say it. And when you're writing something, you have tons of time to edit,
Hmm.
put things in the right place, choose the right words. But face to face, you have all this emotion.
Yeah.
And sometimes our mouths aren't connected to our brains. And you say that one thing that just kind of popped out and you have no recollection of ever saying it, but it's that one thing that someone is going to hear forever and ever.
Right.
It's like risky.
It's true. No, it's really
So
true. Yeah.
like being in person, you have to become more self-aware, more thoughtful about what you're saying. It's very difficult. I don't
Well,
know how to do it yet.
I don't think anybody knows how to really like do it really well. It's more of
Yeah.
you just get more experience as you go along with whatever you're doing, and um, it's kind of like something like to learn. It's like, oh, okay, like that burned. Don't do that again. Like that's
Mhm.
hot, right? Let's stay away from that, or you know.
Yeah. But it's interesting how that can happen in texting too, like with the
Oh,
lack of
sure.
tone and
Hmm.
yeah, you can really miss out on so much over messages too. So
Yeah.
I think like the more it's like how we like cueing, we've got verbal cues and visual cues and tactile cues. Like you have to be able to communicate in many different methods to get like as most feel as you can, as much feel
Right.
as you can. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Um, what is like for you, like with a routine? Like, what's the importance of your routine with what you do, especially
Well,
as far as like working from home, and then what's that routine look like for you?
well, back when we all had lives, my routine was much more stable, but now it's like pretty stable. A lot of my most important routines, my biggest anchors are taking my dog out and training and doing my check-ins. So those are
Yeah.
like the biggest three things that will kind of like that I'll organize my schedule around. So it's like I take my dog out to the park, run a walk every morning. Jiu-jitsu is first thing in the morning, and then check-ins really happen usually right away. So those are like the most kind of steady things. And
Hmm.
then training is just going to happen 3 times a week. So I plan my entire life around that.
So,
But it's yeah.
and then what about like that whole option, the whole concept of like, and like everything else you do, because you're not just the coach, right? Like
Mhm.
you have like an actual job function within Barbell Logic itself, and then
Yeah.
you have, of course, maybe not so much right now, but just in normal like a personal life too, right? So,
Yeah. It's so funny, like working from home and having my gym, like I have so much flexibility, but with
mhm,
all that flexibility, you can be like really unproductive. So I've worked a lot on like like calendar blocking or whatever it's called, where I like I treat myself as a certain kind of person.
mhm,
So like I have like my coach person. So it's like, what is Niki the coach going to do during this 2 hours? So that's when I do my check-ins, it's when I do my programming, it's when I coach in person. It's when I communicate with my client. So that's Coach Niki. And then I'll have like HR Niki. So it's like HR Niki's gonna do payroll, she's gonna write systems, she's gonna make sure that's all good. Then she's gonna do community Niki, like what does community Niki need to do right now? So like what does lifter Nikki need to do right now? And that stuff like that makes me far more present to the task at hand instead of
mhm,
feeling like I have to multitask all those different roles. So especially like when you lift at home, like sometimes it feels like you never leave because you don't. So like treating yourself like a lifter makes you actually feel like you're separated. So like I don't look at work stuff when I'm lifting. Like I just let that be like only lifting time. So if someone's like stuck at home and they're just like, I have all this shit that I'm supposed to be doing, and like I have all these different jobs, and I'm supposed to be a mom, and I'm supposed to be a lifter, and I'm supposed to be a boss, whatever, like just let yourself be one type for a little while and then create the space in your calendar to be the other person that you need to be. Just like if you feel like you need to be doing stuff or you should be doing stuff, put it in your calendar so you give it a place to happen.
mhm. That's interesting, like discipline and roles and kind of what you're doing. I know, like for myself, I know that's one of the things I struggle with the most. With like when I'm training, all of a sudden I'll get like if I'm on a tight schedule, I can haul ass and knock out my training like real fast.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm loose and I don't kind of get structured with it, and I don't get disciplined with not getting tied up in other aspects of things, you know, especially if I'm working out
Mhm.
with Anna Marie, she'll look over at me.
Mhm.
She goes, "So, are you going to lift that bar, or are you just gonna stare at your phone for another
She's like,
20
"I've
minutes?"
done 5 sets of squats and you've
Yeah,
done 2 sets of
exactly.
presses."
Because I'm like, oh, there's no kids around, and I'm in this like empty space of like my garage,
Mm.
and okay, I can work on my podcast, I can create some posts, and I can chat, and I can
Mm.
yeah. So I get like totally like down the rabbit hole with my phone
Mhm.
on because I work from my phone so much sometimes, and
Mhm.
booking guests and researching guests and
Yeah.
that kind of thing too. So and and all the other little random projects I always have going on. And I think that's one of the things that's I know for myself, if I don't have like a strict discipline and schedule uh, with those things, and then yeah, you start getting jumbled too much. I'll
Yeah.
do it when I'm cooking.
Yeah.
I'll make dinner, and then I'll try to clean the kitchen, and then try to potty train the 2-year-old. And then my wife comes back
Mm.
like, "Did you want to burn the eggs?" I go, "What? Damn it!" You know.
Dang it. Yeah, you
So,
can't be present to what you're doing.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
nothing. It's like CrossFit.
Right.
Like you're trying to do everything instead of just doing one thing.
And then there's a jab there.
I'm just kidding. You're great, CrossFit. You're great.
No, it's hilarious because I was just talking to Andrew Jackson about it, like on the one we recorded the other day, and it, kind of
Mhm.
the same thing. And I said there's this theme, and I brought it up with you actually. This where a lot of people that get into strength training, like they start out in CrossFit, and
Mhm.
then the thing they love about CrossFit, as far as barbell training and some other stuff, and then pretty soon they kind of like, okay, I don't like the randomness of it. Like, I don't know if I'm progressing
Mhm.
or not. And then every time, so yeah, it was actually pretty funny.
That
So
is funny.
he brought that up too. So let's see here. So the other one I want to get into is like when you talk about your routine, right? What's one of
Mhm.
the biggest things that kind of throws you out of a routine? Like that can really kind of, and I don't mean like a one-off here and there, but something that can really kind of throw you for a loop for if you allow it, it can really screw up your routine for an extended period of time. And then what do you do to kind of reset when you do get knocked off?
Um, travel.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
I can
a
see that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have to make sure that I maintain my training to some extent if I'm traveling, or just like plan ahead. So like if I know I'm going to be traveling for 4 days, I'm going to like kind of jumble up training before, get one session in. And to do that, I have to figure out where I'm going to train when I'm traveling. So just make sure that has a place and doesn't throw me off, because like traveling usually involves like worse eating, probably some more
Right.
drinking, like sitting around a whole bunch, not sleeping. So that's going to have like a lingering effect until like the next week.
Hmm.
So if you try and minimize all that, figure out where you're going to train, think about like, okay, these are the days when there's going to be like more crap eating. So the rest of the time when I can control my eating, I'm going to do my best there. So just planning ahead for stuff like that. So travel is one, work stress, where it's just like you get that one email and you're just like, what?
I could see that. Yeah. And it's just in your head like the whole day or yeah.
Yeah. And so what works for me is when I get to my gym, I would be like, they are not going to steal my workout. Like, they do not have my squats. I have my
Right.
squats. They are
Yep.
not stealing my deadlift. And so I just go back to like, no, 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 you will not take that from me.
That's a
Because
good way to
like,
look at it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because like there's just some things that aren't worth stealing the best parts of your life.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd say travel, and then work stress, and then life stress. You know, um, lack of sleep. Lack of sleep can really ruin a routine.
Oh
But you
yeah.
have to like. I mean, I don't know how you. I mean, I feel like I'm just such a jerk, like talking about how great my routine is sometimes, because it's like just me and like like 5 kids. I'm just
Well,
like, yeah, just go to bed on time. It's that easy.
look, everybody has their own, their own reality and their routine and everything
Yeah.
else too, right? And difficulties, and I think like the hardest thing is like where we kind of get screwed up is when we start comparing each other's like routines and like what we do and
Mm-hmm.
go through and whatnot, and
Mm-hmm.
and the reality is like, look, I every now and then I'll give somebody crap who comes and bitches at me about like their baby, like keeping them up. I'm like, how many you got? They go, one. I go, dude, don't even
Yeah.
talk to me right now. But it's not fair because they only know their life went from no
Right.
kids to one, right? And that's
Yeah.
and I do remember like that massive shift where even when you're married, you still, I mean, because when you're married and you have no kids, you can literally get up and walk out and never come back, and it's a shitty thing to do. But my point
Mm.
is like, there's no, there's no little person that relies on both of you to take care, so once you have kids, you're locked in with that person for the rest of your life, for many things. And that changes the whole dynamic of everything. So if we're going from nothing to one is a big shift. Right. So, so I have to check myself on that sometimes when I do hear somebody complain about one. I'm like, get out of here, dude. I don't want to hear it.
No.
No. But you know what? There's discipline in that, because when you do have children, whether it's 1 or 5 or 8, whatever it is you have, you can allow yourself to really kind of make excuses. You know what I mean? Like give yourself rewards, right? Like, I had a rough day, so I don't have to train today after the kids go to bed because I didn't get it in today. I've done that a lot, like, yeah, brutally honest. Yeah, totally. Like, that was one of the things that I struggled with the most, and Anna Marie, my wife, is freaking awesome at this. Is she gets her training no matter what, and whether it's she gets it in the time she scheduled it or something went off, whether it had to do with the kids or a schedule, and the kids go to bed and it's like 8:30 and she'll walk out to the gym. And even though she knows, like, somebody's going to be crawling into our bed somewhere between 5:30 and 7 a.m. Right. And she'll make sure she gets out there, and she would do that a lot. And it's, and she's been a big inspiration for my end of it, where like, there's no excuses at all. I'm like, okay, if she can do it, then for sure. I just need to stop like going like, oh yeah, I don't feel like doing it today. It was kind of rough. And
you're like,
yeah, exactly. So, but you can use that as a crutch and an excuse to say like, I had a rough day today, or the kids were extra this, or I don't have time to do this because I got to make sure I got to watch him. It's actually made me better at not being a control freak and just letting the kids go be kids and figure stuff out. And when they do, like if they're in the yard, like right outside the garage where our gym is, and they get into a little argument or something, and they're like, Dad, I'm like, did anybody die? No. Anybody bleeding? No. Go figure it out.
Figure it out. I like that.
Yeah, you guys go figure it out. So, no, it works pretty well.
So now I wonder, can I like, if a client gives me that excuse of their kids acting up, like, can I be a hard ass about it now, or do I have to be like nice about it?
No, that's a minefield you got to walk.
Yeah.
telling somebody how to react to their kids. And
I'm just like, here being single with my dog.
Right. Yeah. Just tell them like, I know what it's like. I have a puppy. It's like,
yeah, your parents really love that. Like, yeah, your freaking dog is like my child.
Yeah, I can't put my kid in the crate when they act up.
Go shit outside.
Yeah. Although that is a way you potty train kids sometimes. You just let them run around naked outside for like, when they're 1.5, 2 years old, and after a little while, sometimes they're just like, oh, I don't like that feeling. Like, I just peed on my leg. So, yeah. So watch, I'm gonna get so many people like.
I really like that.
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to keep on a tight schedule because I know you got to get out of here soon.
Oh yeah. Couple more.
A couple more questions. I had a question. One was, when you started, like for yourself, when you started, like, this is the mental side of lifting, right? When you started getting up there in weight, and it's not something that just kind of happens overnight. You don't go from deadlifting 225 to like 400 pounds, right? I mean, there's just like gradual climb of what you're doing, right? But there's something visual, like mental about like lifting, right? And you try not to make it mental as much as possible, just like any other task you have to complete, especially when it's hard. But you're pursuing hardship, which is a really good thing. But when you see things starting to get difficult and the numbers you have to lift, and then you physically see like that 4th plate go on, like the barbell, whether it's, or the 3rd one for squats, like whatever it is, right? It could be like a 5-pound jump, right? But when you go from 2 plates and like a 25, a 10, and a 5, and then all of a sudden you see 3 plates go on, right? It can kind of mess with you, right? So, what is like the biggest thing for you routine wise to not let like what you're looking at or like a number kind of like mess you up? You know what I mean? To kind of like psych you out of it.
That's interesting. I haven't really been intimidated by a number yet.
Or better question, what do you do with your clients, right? Because you get a lot of clients that do that. Yeah, that's a better way of looking at it.
But I do remember being intimidated by numbers. So I'm trying to remember how I broke that. Like, now I just get excited about the numbers. Like, I can't wait to say that I've been able to do that, you know, like, or just to know that I'm able to do that. So I think I switch it to a frame of mind of like, oh, this weight is judgment day. If I don't complete this, like it just means I'm a terrible lifter and I'll never get it. Like I have the perspective now to know that if I don't get it on that day, I am going to get it on another day. Right. Like, I think just having the awareness of knowing there will be more chances and there's going to be a new number that's going to like make me intimidated or some arbitrary fear that I create for myself. But it's just like, you can overcome that by taking the positive side of it and just being like, I can't wait to do that. Instead of being like, shoot, what if I miss that? Or, oh no, that's a big scary number. Like it's totally arbitrary. So, but.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah, just take like the positive side of it. Just like, cool, I can't wait. I can't wait to try it.
That's awesome.
And if I don't try it, if I don't get it, it'll happen again. Like that just happened to me last weekend. Like I thought I was in a really good spot to pull 440, which I've been wanting for like years and years and years. Like super obsessed with 440, and like it didn't happen. I tried it twice. I got super excited because everything felt good. My head was in a good spot. Like I had a super good mindset, and then it was freaking stuck to the floor. But I was like pretty pissed off for like an hour, 2 hours maybe, and just, cursed, my coach. And like my coach does a great job. Like my coach made me pull 430. He helped me pull 430. Like I have a great coach. But like, you have so much emotion tied into a certain number.
Right.
So deal with those emotions, but know there's so much more beyond that number. So much more training to happen.
That's interesting. Yeah. I like that. I got a couple questions here off Instagram. I'll go back to you to wrap up with. One is from S Turner 353. He's asking, how do you program conditioning for lifters that have to run as part of their jobs? So I'm assuming he's talking about, maybe people that are in, law enforcement, the military, where they have like, set conditioning they have to do on a regular basis. Yeah.
Depending on what the requirements are, and if there's a certain test that we're working up to, that will kind of have to be considered. But running, you can run better if it's on the same day as your training, but after your training, or you can do it on your days off from training. That's totally fine. We just kind of have to play around with, again, what we're running for. So if it's like a long distance thing, or if it's a sprint kind of thing, then we might put it into different places. So if you have like 3 days of lifting per week, that means you're going to have some time when you have 2 days off. So it could be like lift, on that same day, run, rest day, lift, rest day, lift, run the next day, rest. So you have 2 days of running, but just make sure it's not before you're lifting, like on the same day.
Right. Yeah. Like we did Anna Marie nights with the kids out yesterday. We didn't run, but we did this big 4-mile loop hike, kind of up and downhill, big grades over in Chambers Bay out here in Tacoma. And then we came back and I noticed right off the bat, like I was like 225 on my warm-ups and squat. I was like, why does this feel heavy? This is weird. Right?
Come on.
But I can't remember the last time I did any kind of conditioning before I lifted. Yeah. It'd been quite a while, right? So I was like, oh yeah. And then Anna Marie, who's just a conditioning fiend, just looked at me and laughed. So
she's good at keeping you humble, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's good though. Like you have to have that though. I think it's good to have. Okay. Last question. So two goals. Like what do you have as like long-term aspirations, both with like lifting, because you compete, right? And then professionally, like your own personal professional goals.
Lifting wise, well, I really want to pull 200 kilos in competition. So that's my next big one. And I would like to bench press more than 200 pounds in competition. So those are my two lifting goals. Professionally, gosh, I want to, I have so many things I want to do. Like, I want to really create this place where people can work that they're super, super proud of, that if they ever, like whenever they really identify what it is about their daily job that makes them feel the most excited about everything, that there's a way for them to keep doing more of that and less of the stuff that like just kind of drains them and sucks them, So if I can create some sort of coaching environment where people can identify that and then we can support that so that they just are just like stoked all the time, no matter what it might be. And yeah, it'd have to fit into our business model, but like, that's what I want to create. And even if they don't stay with us, they still have like they leave with like a really good taste in their mouth of like, man, that was cool. I've been able to find what really makes me passionate about what I do. I was able to do it, and now I want to do it this way, whatever it might be. But that's what I want to create, that environment. And then I also really want to design home gyms.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. That's like I shouldn't have said it on the internet. Now someone else can do it. Shit.
Oh,
take this part down.
Well, it's like what's it called? It's like coffee shops, right? Competition's good, right? Everywhere you see a Starbucks, there's a Pete's, and then there's like everything else across the street. And there's always somebody doing something. I don't think anybody really has like that ownership of like one thing on the internet, right? And I think also that also holds a lot of people back, and they go like, well, somebody's already doing it. Well, yeah, but what for a service, most people are really, what attracts them is the personality of the individual that's performing that service, on top of obviously their expertise, right? But like the individual itself. Yeah. If you have two restaurants you really like, you're probably going to go to the one more often that you actually enjoy the company of the people that work there, the environment, the ambiance, that whole thing too. So that goes into a big play of that, which ties back into what you said. Yeah. Well, it does. I mean, it ties back into what you said earlier, right? The concept of creating a workplace where people actually, enjoy being, and then, it feeds into their wheelhouse of what they're good at and what they like to do, versus just shoving down these kind of useless tasks down their throat every day and just feeling defeated. So
yeah, could be fun.
Yeah, cool.
Figuring that out. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was
thanks
fun.
to everybody who sent in questions.
Yeah,
except for Adam Fangman.
And again, I thank everybody for tuning in and listening, and for all the comments. And if I do talk or ramble too much, please let me know. I'm new at this, so I'm still trying to figure this out.
Same here.
Yeah. All right, Niki. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and
thank you.
I will. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye.